I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Lynn Nesbitt. I'll be chairing the panel today. Other members of the panel are Brent McIntyre to my far left and Jeff Peich to my immediate left. Our secretary today is Belen Rojo and our assessor is Jonathan Delinsky. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. Statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of property are not considered market evidence by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are recorded and will be part of the public record. And if you haven't already done so, could you please put your cell phones to silent mode? They are going in order of people here on our docket. Our first property is 226 St. Mary's Road.
I get the hot seat.
You get the hot seat.
Thank you for seeing me. This is my first time.
Okay.
State your full name.
Jonathan Delinsky.
You affirm the evidence about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Sure do.
Thank you. You have the option to swear in on the Bible or to affirm without it.
Without
Okay, please state your full name.
Ryan James Rollick.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any evidence for the panel today?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Rollick.
Thank you.
Okay. The first item then is 226 St. Mary's Road. I believe it's just an issue of assessed value.
Yes.
Okay.
Annual rental value.
Right.
Yep.
And would you like to start us off, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. File number 19-5968. The address is 226 St. Mary's Road, and the business assessment ID is 53331. We have two premises under this bid, as shown on my first page here. Premise ID 4277 has a premise area of 2,030 square feet. It is on the main floor, and I believe the second. The base ARV for this space is $12.61. And after the occupancy costs, it comes to an annual rental value of $30,600. The second premise in this docket is PID 291346, and this is the basement space. It has an area of 688 square feet with a base annual rental value of $5,614. And after occupancy costs, it comes to $7,320 for a total rental value ARV of $50,640. the recommendation is to maintain this value of 50,640. And then flipping the page, have some rental rate comparables. We can see there's a lot of comparables here. If we just refer to the St. Mary's ones, they're the best comparables. So comparable 13, 14, 15, and 16 is a good grouping there. The average of these four comes to $12.56. We have another one at comparable 19 for $15.31. Then another comparable 30 at $11.25. So that gives us a good idea that our model-driven rates is pretty good for this first floor, second floor area. And then the second chart I have on page 3 is basement lease rates for OFS properties. So our subject is an OFS as well, so this matches up. We don't have anything on St. Mary's Road, but we do have a good selection throughout the city. I won't go into too much detail, but we can see here that the average rate is $9.09. And then in comparison to the subject, the basement rate is coming in at $8.16. So I feel we're well within the range. If we flip to the back page, please, we have a exterior view of the building, and on the top of the page is the tenant verification form sent in by the owner. As we can see that it's a net lease, and they are the only business in the building, as far as I know. And that's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rollick, do you have any questions for the assessor?
What does OFS mean?
OFS is a classification for an office building. I believe it's typically a 2 to 3 floor office building.
And the comparatives for the basement, are those all finished?
I'm not sure.
Does finishing matter?
It would matter in terms of what you're looking for. These are prices paid for whatever they're getting. I would assume that if it is finished, they would get a higher rental rate.
So if it was unfinished, it would be lesser?
Yeah, I would say so for sure.
Okay.
Any questions? Mr. McIntyre?
I have a couple. On page 1 of your submission, the top is showing the ARV of 50,640.
Yes.
At the bottom one, calculations is 37,920.
I see that too. The appealed rate was 50,640. Is that correct? I believe.
Pardon me?
The value that was appealed was 50,640.
Ellen, can you
That's
confirm?
correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I do not know why there's a discrepancy there. I just caught that now.
And the other one was your total premise area is 2,718 square feet.
Yes.
Yet the tenant is reporting on the mailer 3,920 square feet.
Yes, that's correct. I'm not sure
So I
of the
guess
discrepancy.
which is it?
We're obviously not assessing 3920. I don't believe. As far as I know, what we were assessing is on the first page here, 50,640 at 2,718 square feet at $18.63 total after occupancy costs.
But you don't know why there's a difference.
I do not.
Okay, that was my only questions.
Mr. Page?
Have you been to the premise?
I have not.
So you're unaware whether the basement's finished or unfinished?
I'm unaware.
No other questions, thanks.
I guess I am wondering about the difference in your ARV reported on the page. You've given evidence that supports the lower number, and yet the number under appeal is the higher number, so I'm not
Right.
really sure what's happening there.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, perhaps what we'll just do is we'll cut to Mr. Rollick next and we'll see what's going on. Okay, Mr. Rollick, your evidence, please.
So the reason why I appealed this is because there was a significant increase in the assessed value from the prior year. There is another business in the premises now, and so we're not occupying the full 3,920 square feet. We're only occupying 70% of that. And further, I appealed this last year as well, and the
Before you say your number of what it was last year, we can't accept assessments of property as evidence, so you've indicated it's gone up. That's
the prior year when I appealed it, part of my focus was on the basement, because more than half of the basement is unfinished. It's basically just mechanical with cement floors and open walls and like bare floor underneath. And when I talked to the assessor last year, they had said that there was no difference between whether a basement is finished or unfinished. Looking at the comparatives that were provided, these are unit numbers, 104, 105. I don't think these units, these comparables, would be comparable, given that this is likely finished office space in the basement of a building. So I think all these comparatives are pretty high. And also a lot of these buildings are newer. So I think there's a few things wrong here, and I would like to kind of get to the bottom of it and make sure the right value is assessed.
Thank you. Mr. Dolinsky?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Chair. You said there was another business that moved in. When did they move in?
They moved in July of 2018.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. McIntyre?
Just one question, what's the ceiling height in the basement?
I think it's probably slightly more than 6 feet, because I can walk there without
Hitting
my
anything?
head. I just duck when I go into the mechanical.
Because based on the picture that the assessor provided, it looks like an older building.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that's my only question.
Mr. Page?
Can you confirm for us the total leasable area?
So the main floor and the second floor are 3,920 square feet. And my position is that of the basement, 239 square feet would be leasable space.
And of the 239 square feet in the basement that is usable, can you describe the type of finish?
The walls are finished, the ceiling is finished, there's lights in the ceiling like this. Not as fancy as this.
Yeah. What type of flooring is it?
It's carpet.
It is carpeted, okay. No other questions, thanks.
Okay, so you're saying then the assessor has the basement at 688 square feet.
688 is the total square feet. 239 would be finished. The rest of it is furnace, hot water tanks, like cement floors. So there's a wall that divides the two rooms.
Okay.
And even going down the stairs are really steep, and you know, I would never lease it out to a third party because it would be dangerous. I would think that it's not an area that we use except for storage. And
Okay, so the 2,718 square feet is about 70% of the reported square feet for the entire building. And that is what you're using right now? You yourself, on the main and the second floor?
the area that we are using on the main and the second floor is more than that. The area that we are using is about 2,765 square feet of the main and second floor.
Okay.
So that does not include the 688 that's in addition.
Okay.
And then there's another tenant who is buying about 1,155 square feet. And I do have his roll number if you want it, but.
No, that's okay. Okay. Any desire for summation?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so as you said, I can leave now and
Yes.
you will,
Did you make a decision? Sure. Thank you.
thank you very much for your time.
Let's go to the 3 Saints and see if it's in there. Okay. Go to 3 Saints. We're gonna go to 3 St. Anne's.
Would you like to swear in on the Bible or repeat them?
I will.
Please state your full name
Norman Boudreau.
and you affirm the identity you represent is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
That's right.
Thank you. I can do that.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Boudreau.
Thank you.
Mr. Delancey, when you're ready.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. File number 19-5020. Roll years 2020, the address is 3 St. Anne's Road. The business assessment ID is 54531. The total annual rental value is $40,380. Total area of all the premises under this bid is 2,064 square feet. There is one pit in the building. This pit is numbered 7661. It's a main floor with an area of 2,064 square feet. Base ARV is 35,366. After occupancy costs, which are $5,057, it comes to our total ARV. Recommendation is to maintain this ARV of 40,380. Evidence for this is found on page 2. I have 4 comparables. 2 of them on St. Mary's, 1 on St. Anne's, and 1 on Tenant Highway. The first one is found at 600 St. Anne's Road, Unit 200. An OFS, just like the subject, we have square footage of 3,386 square feet, and the rental rate comes in at $19. Second comparable is found at 681 St. Mary's Road, also an OFS. Square footage 2,182 square feet. The rate comes in at $18.05. Third comparable is at 600 St. Anne's Road, also an OFS. 643 square feet at $18.01. The last comparable is found at 870 Pembina Highway. Square footage 1606, and the net per square foot rate at $16.50. The bottom of page 2, we can see that on the tenant verification form, that they're the only business in the building. It's owner occupied, so we don't have any numbers. And that is my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Boudreau, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Yeah, I'd like to know if he did assess the neighbors right beside me, like number 1 and number 5. St. Anne's Road.
Personally, I did not assess that one.
Okay. And also, have you visited the other comparables that you have indicated?
I have
Or
not.
600 St. Anne's Road?
I have not been.
You have not, and you have not visited my premises either, correct? All right. And is there a reason why you did not find the neighbors at 1 and 5 St. Anne's Road as being a comparable to my premise?
When I was doing my comparable searches, I don't believe those ones popped up on our list. So.
Okay. I also like to confirm with you that the reference date is April 1st, 2016, correct?
18.
18. So in the documents that I have received, it indicated that, and if you put the page received there at the back, under policy and procedure preparing for a hearing, the second paragraph indicates that the annual rental value reflects the typical market rents for commercial space similar to your premises in the reference year at the reference date. For 2019, the reference date is April 1st, 2016.
We're working with 2020.
Why is your document indicates 2016?
I'm not sure.
There's a mistake there, obviously.
What's the date on that document?
Well, January 16, 2020.
Right.
That's from our office, the Board of Revision.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter.
No, we don't see these.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand,
Then
but.
we're-
so-
Okay, you're still asking Mr.
So,
Zelinski
yeah, all right.
questions? Okay.
So the documents provided to the business owners is incorrect, correct? If you want, I can show you the document.
Sure. Thank you. For 2019, the reference date is April 1st, 2016. Yeah, so they must have sent you an older document. We're working with 2020, so
Okay.
this won't apply.
So, and I put it to you and confirm with me that in preparing for this hearing today, I was provided with the wrong information, correct?
Yeah, it appears so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Page?
I have none at this time.
Okay, and I have none for the assessor. Mr.
All
Boudreau,
right,
when you're
thank
ready,
you very
your
much.
evidence.
So I provided you with my submissions, I guess, in this matter. So you have each received a book that I can tell you at this time what we are paying is $15 per square foot, okay? And the assessed value, which is estimate at this time, is $17.12 per square foot, which would be $35,336 annually. Boardroom is now paying $15 per square foot, which amount to $26,460. We submit that the $15 per square foot would reflect the reality at this time. And we also submit, one more question that I would have to ask the assessor, and I forgot to ask him, is would you consider the premises at 3 St. Anne's Road being a suburban Class B premise?
Sorry, you're referring to one of my comparables?
No, the 3 St. Anne's Road, is
Oh,
this?
the
is this-
subject?
Yeah, the subject is,
I consider it an OFS.
what's in OFS?
So OFS would be a 2 to 3 story office building.
2 to 3 story. Do you know that the premise at 3 St. Anne's Road is a 1 story?
Sorry, 1 to 3 story. Within 3 stories.
Okay. So would you also consider that the premise is a suburban Class B?
I don't know if it would be a Class B. Class B would typically be superior to an OFS, but it depends on the situation.
But it's not a downtown location, it's a suburban
I
location?
agree, yeah.
Okay. And you agree with me that a suburban location has less value than a downtown location?
Typically, that's the case, not always.
Okay, all right. So, thank you. Thank you for allowing me, Madam Chair, to continue my cross-examination, I guess. So, in regard to the comparative, we were, of course, not provided the comparative prior to coming in. But if you look at my tab 1, this is as of 2017, which would have been a year later than the alleged standard year, which would have been 2016. But anyway, as 2017, the suburban Class B, and this is the middle comparison there, it's at $13.22 per square foot, average net. And if you turn to tab 2, in this case, the Class B would be at $14.65 average net. I'm sorry, this is the second column, Class B, second, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, you have, if you look at tab 2, that's right. So, and this is as of 2019, okay? So for a Class B, in 2019, the average net is $14.65, okay? So this is much more in par with what we have at 3 St. Anne's Road. And if you look at tab 3, those are premises that are on the market at this time. So on Osborne, 564 Osborne Street, I would say that's a lot more comparable to what it is at 3 St. Anne's Road, and it's at $13 a square foot. If you look at 1550, the next page, 1555 St. Mary's Road, it's at $12.95 a square foot. And if you look at 400 Taché, it's $15 a square foot, okay? So I would submit that the comparable that the assessor has provided are not proper comparable. 600 St. Anne's Road, it's a brand new building, it's a professional office, 2 stories, there's an elevator in there. I know that building because I have gone into that building. I have a friend who has a law firm on the second floor, and I can tell you it's nothing to do like, nothing to compare with 3 St. Anne's Road, okay? My building was built in 1910, okay? You walk into the building, it cracks from everywhere. You walk you know, it's nothing to compare. The hydroelectric the hydro always fails. It's not stable. The hydro is not stable. We have to have battery to ensure that battery backup to ensure that the computer do not go on the fritz. Okay, and also. That location is different than the other location. So you have, first of all, you have 2 locations at 600 St. Anne's Road, all right, as comparable. So that's from the same location, from the same premise, the premise that I'm talking about with the brand new building. Then you have 870 Pembina Highway. 870 Pembina Highway is, again, it's a huge complex, brand new, and I also have a friend who has a law firm, well, a friend, someone I know that has a law firm in that building, and I've been into that building. It's nothing to compare with the building. Again, there's an elevator. It's a new building, and the last comparison is 681 St. Mary's. This is an older building, but that's been totally refurbished. It's in fact a brand new building again. All right. So to compare it to my building or to the building which I'm occupied, it's not a fair comparison. In addition, if you look at page 2 of my submissions, I have other consideration. This, and it's unfortunate to say that the area in the last 3 years has gone down. Like there's junkies that have knocked at my doors, junkies that have I would say overdosed in the backyard, in the parking where police are coming in and trying to resuscitate these people. There's been a whole bunch of transient people because it's a very residential area, and there's, I'm not saying that, but there's a place right across the street. It's called the Joint. A whole bunch of people go there, I guess, to use paraphernalia for whatever they are doing with drugs and so on. Okay, so it attracts a lot of transient people. We have to keep our door closed, locked at the front, in order for people to come in, because people are coming in, stealing things, and scaring essentially my staff. So we have to keep the door closed in order to keep the business running. And I also have to put in securities, camera, inside and outside, to monitor the parking lot and to monitor the inside. So, and we get consistently hit with graffitis as well. So, what I'm saying, what I'm trying to convey to you is this is not maybe like a mile down the road, like 600 St. Mary's, where it's, I would say it's a lot more upscale than what my premises is. So the comparables are not fair. In fact, we had moved out. If you see this on page, I think they're page 2 of the assessor. So the land, the lease ended in July of 2017. We were on a month-to-month. We moved out of the premise, but we came back and we moved back in June of 2019. And then we signed a new lease at $15 per square foot. And that, the owner tried to sell the premise. It didn't go. It was not sold, and that's why we came back into the premise. And now I have one lawyer working in that office. Those would be essentially my submissions.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau.
Thank you.
Mr. Delinsky, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Applicant, what is the relation between your business and Norman Boudreau Law Corporation?
Well, I am Norman Boudreau
You are?
Law Corporation operating as Boudreau Law.
I see, okay, thank you. So, this rental rate that you have on page 1, is this is more of a book rent, is it not? Because you're essentially leasing from yourself?
I'm leasing from 3 St. Anne's Road,
Okay.
and I'm not the owner of 3 St. Anne's Road.
Oh, I see, okay. Okay, thank you. And then page, under tab 3, you have some comparables here. Are these actual leases that are in place, or are these just advertisements for?
Those are actual leases that are in place. If you look today, those leases would still be active.
These are active? Okay. All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Delinsky. Mr. Page?
Thank you, I have no questions.
Thank you very much.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
And I have no questions.
Thank you, Madam
very
Chair.
much.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now go to 286 Smith,
Good morning.
Unit 500. Number 7 on our docket, for those following the numbers.
Please state your full name.
Oh, wait, I'll go.
And you affirm the evidence about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, welcome, Mr. Algoul.
Al-
Okay. Mr. Delinsky, when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 19-5143. Roll year is 2020. The address is Unit 500, 286 Smith Street. The business assessment ID is 53245. We have the business Agul Law and Associates. They occupy 1 floor in this building, the 5th floor. The premise ID is 22915. The area for this premise is 4,192 square feet. So the base ARV is 40,704. Occupancy costs are 10,270. And this gets us to the total annual rental value of $51,000. Recommendation is to maintain this value. Turning to page 2, please. We have some comparables that are OFC, which is what the subject is. We can see here that there are 37 comparables. The subject's net rent is $9.71. So we can see we're within the range of these comps here. I'm not going to go too into detail, but we have a good mix within the city, downtown. A lot of these areas are close to our subject. More specifically, the Broadway, Donald's, Graham properties. All of them are basically close or higher than the subject. And then the page 3 shows us the tenant verification form sent in by the owner. we can see, just confirm that they just occupy the 5th floor, and there's some other businesses within the building. We do have a discrepancy with the leased area, but we are going with a lower number of 4,192. And turning to my last page on the back, page 4 please, just a Cushman and Wakefield / Stevenson study for the first quarter of 2018. The subject here is in C-class, so we can see that the range of C-class, the average of C-class is 1145. So we are a little bit low on the average, but this proves that we're well within your range. And that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Elwood, do you have any questions?
Yes, just for clarification, because I'm just trying to understand more. So there is two numbers. There's the overall average per square foot of 1217 on page 1.
Yes.
And then there is the base average of 971. Just for clarity, is it the 971 that, I'm not sure what's the 1217 you're...
Yeah, so the base is, I guess you could call it net, so 971, and then when you add in the occupancy costs, it'll make the average per square foot to 1217.
Okay.
So all of my comparables are on a net basis, so that's without occupancy costs.
Okay, so the city, we provided the city assessor with the leases for those premises. I'm the owner of the building as well as I occupy the 5th floor. So we provide them with the leases for all those leases, and as well as our premises, which shows that the operating cost is $8.75 per square foot, which would leave the, as you can tell from page 3, it will leave the net operating cost way below the 975.
Yeah, so we're going with the market average. So
Okay.
the market average, I believe, is around $2.05.
Okay.
So you're definitely higher.
Okay.
That's a good one.
So now, the other question I have is, I don't see in the comparison that you provided in page 2, I don't see anything about neighboring buildings to us, like for example 280 Smith Street, 275 Smith Street, just next door to us. There's nothing that will compare those buildings to ours. What I see is something on Portage close to us, that's very close on Portage. The 570, the 475, the 428, those are very close to us on Portage. And then I see very far ones down, like 83 Donalds, way down, or Broadway, which is quite far from us. Do you have any assessments for anything close to us, maybe within a block or 2 blocks?
For this particular property, I decided to go with just C-class buildings. So I'm not sure what classes.
They're all C-class.
They're C-class?
Yeah.
Okay, for whatever reason, they didn't pop up in my
Okay.
my search, so I just went with these ones.
Okay. And I'm going to clarify the discrepancy between, for the square footage, the total area for the premises is 4192.
Okay.
So your area that you're referring to is 6600, right?
Yeah, so on your income and expense mailer that was sent in on my page 3, it says under the second column that you guys have a lease area of 6,700 square feet. But we're just assessing for 4,192 square feet.
True, that is correct, because I think that might have been a mistake, because
Okay.
there's the common space, which is the elevators and the
Right.
bathrooms and so on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And have you visited the premises or on the 5th floor?
I actually have been there. It was about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
On the 5th floor?
Yeah, I didn't do a full inspection. I was just doing some maintenance.
Okay, because we were there in July 2019, 2018, July 2018.
Okay.
We moved in 2018 July.
Yeah, so I was a field assistant at the time, and I'm the guy that actually put you guys in there. So whatever that date was, July 2018, yeah, that was me.
Okay, have you noticed that the back of the premises has a different occupant? A network?
I believe at the time there was a temporary school of some sort.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's actually an IT company, or like a, okay, so they actually occupy part of the 4192, but I'm not sure if that is reported in your report.
4192, yeah, I think we have them as 4,000 square feet. As per the mailer?
No, that's
That's a
not the one.
different company?
Yes, different company.
We might have to do some updating,
Okay.
but we're just referring to your PID for today's purposes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the only question I can maybe start.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Thank you.
McIntyre, do you have any
I
questions?
have no questions.
Mr.
I
Price?
have nothing.
Okay, go ahead with your
Thank you,
presentation.
Chairperson. My apologies for not having materials provided, because I provided to the city. I thought that might have been in the package. I apologize for that. As I stated earlier, I own the company that owns the building, which is 5782962, Manitoba Ltd. I operate a law firm which is on the 5th floor, so I was an associate law firm, but we don't occupy all of 4,192. We actually have a tenant there at the, as you correctly stated, at the corner. Their premises there is 785 square feet. I apologize, it was in the material provided earlier, but I don't have it here. The leases that were done, there are, including us, there are 6 tenants in the building. 4 of those tenants were placed there by Cushman Wakefield. So the leases prepared are not ours. We didn't do the leases, they actually did them. And they made them based on, we had the building for a very long time empty, so they made the leases, and what we're averaging is between $14 and $15 square foot gross. When we take out the operating cost, I think the operating cost that is the city providing is quite low. Our building is older, we have older units. That's what the agents provided us, that's $8.75, and it's listed there in every one of those leases, including mine. I noticed that on page 1, it says the reported rent per square foot is 0 on page 1, that's the last column. I don't understand that very well, but we do actually pay rent for the building. So we are a tenant as well. So that the law firm, Algonsos Law Firm, pays rent to 5782962. So we do actually pay rent, as it states in page 3. Our rent is $68.15 that we are currently paying right now. The issue I have with the comparison is that it's really not fair to our building. Our building is closer to Portage. It's not right on Portage. If you would, if I may maybe try to visualize it for you, if you know where the Radisson Hotel is on Portage, our building is right behind it on Smith Street. It's across from the St. Regis Hotel, or the old St. Regis Hotel. It's been closed for over 3 years now, or 4 years. And it's right on the corner just behind the Radisson Hotel. We have 2 buildings next to us, 280 Smith and 275 Smith. They're both C-class buildings as ours. We're all of us having a hard time finding tenants, but we try as much as we can based on the market value. If I were to compare our building based on the list provided in here, I would love to have seen 280 or 275, because I know they're more than 50% vacant right now, those 2 buildings. But if we were to compare them with the ones in here, they would be closer to the 570 and the 425 Portage. So on the list that was provided by the city, the 570 Portage, for example, he's listing it as a net square foot for 12, and he goes on to list others for 9, and then comparison number 12 is, I think it's 11, and then we go down on the list again on 428 Portage, comparison number 16, it's at 11. 428, comparison number 28 to 29, sorry, 20, I should say, yeah, 28 and 29, it's at 11 and 11. That's more or less, if he's talking about, that's closer to the areas we're on. Unfortunately, we're not on Portage as a main street, we are on a side street, which is Smith in this case. We are a C building, we're not a B building, as you indicated correctly. So there's the issues I have with the assessment. A is that for the last, since I owned this building 2009 till today, the operating cost has been always around $8, $8.75. That's been always the case, even with increased utilities costs and so on. We're trying to maintain it at that much because of everything else that goes into it. The area that's reported 4,192 is incorrect. It's actually less than that. The space we occupy is less than this one by 782 square feet. And if we are compared, if the net that you're comparing us to, if I'm understanding this correctly, $12.17, if I'm correct, it is higher than even the buildings on Portage, which is at 11, close to us. So I believe that the more accurate or closer, if we're not going to go with the actual ones we have for the last 11 years now, which with the operating cost, which puts us at around between $6.50 to $7 a square foot net, I'm saying, then we can go with the most accurate comparison, and given that we're not on Portage and we're on Smith, across from a really bad building that we're not sure what to do with it so far as a city, and a failed project, which is the Sky Towers thing. We should be around, I think we should be around anywhere between $9.50 to $10 a square foot, rather than the $12.17 as the city indicates. That's my submission. I'm sorry if I took too long.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much. Mr. Delinsky, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, your business has a book rent of about $12.21.
Yes, gross.
That's gross?
Yeah, all these numbers are gross, as we have the leases. I've provided a copy of the leases, yeah.
Okay.
And if you look at all the floors, from one to all the 6 tenants, if you average the monthly payment from the monthly rent, you multiply by 12 and divide it by the square footage, will come to be around the same thing, about between 14 to 16. That's the range, and they are all gross.
All right. I don't have any further questions. Thank
Mr. McIntyre?
Just one, do you have a lease with the subtenant?
Yes, we have. Yes, the 782.
The 785 square feet?
Yes, we do.
You do. And what is the rent on that, net rent on that lease?
It's the gross, I don't know the net, but the gross one is $15.10.
Okay, that was my only question.
Mr. Peitsch?
I have nothing.
And I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, now we'll move to 1102 Notre Dame Avenue, number 6 on the docket.
Please. Oh no. Oh no. Shouldn't have sat down. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh yeah, I can put it here. What's that? Didn't you want to swear me in?
Sure. Please state your full name,
Lawrence Jeskew?
and you swear and to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Jeskew.
Hi.
Have a seat if you wish.
Yeah, maybe I'll stand a bit. Chairperson, Madam Chairperson, sorry I was 15 minutes late.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Parking and everything else, and my health is, I apologize. And I I don't really know where to go here,
Okay, well,
or what you wanna know, but,
Mr. Delinsky will start us off.
oh, okay,
And then
great.
you'll have a chance to ask him some questions, and then we'll ask him some questions, and then it will be your turn to present your evidence.
Thank you.
Okay? Go ahead, Mr. Delinsky, when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 19-5024. Roll year 2020, the address is 1102 Notre Dame Ave. The business assessment ID is 23662. We have a business auto parts center limited. The annual rental value is $38,640. This is the total area of the premises in question is 3,020 square feet. The PID that is being looked at today for the ARV is 18859. As said, the area is 3,020 square feet. The base ARV comes in at 31,257. Total occupancy costs are 7,399. This brings us to the total annual rental value of 38,640. Recommendation is to maintain this value. Turning to page 2 are the OFS comparables I've used in the previous briefs. The subject here is an OFS as well. The subject's base ARV per square foot is $10.35. These comparables here on page 2 have an average of $14.06. I think it's pretty obvious that these are more superior than the subject, but we can see that these superior properties do get a higher rate, but I feel our subject falls in the right area with the $10.35 rate. Turning to page 3, we don't have any information here as it is owner occupied in terms of the tenant verification form, but on the bottom of page 3 is a exterior photo of the subject, and that is my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Delinsky. Mr. Jeske, do you have any questions for the assessor? Would you like to ask him anything about what he's just said?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Mr. Pudge?
I have no thanks.
Okay. Mr.
I have
McIntyre?
no questions.
And I have no questions, so on to you.
Okay, I really wasn't, I go to the hospital every day. I've been in the hospital for 6 months now, but I wasn't really ready for this. But the only thing I can go by, because I got nothing to do with properties and stuff. I've been in business for 50 years and in the retail business. But what I'm going by is, and the only thing I can go, is in 2019, my building, land, and everything was assessed at $440,000. And then in 2020, I was assessed at $650,000. So we phoned the city and we've talked to them and everything, and they've agreed with us that that wasn't a fair assessment. You know, it was awful high, and they've dropped it to I'm going to say a reasonable amount of $467,000. And so it's so what they're doing is they're going the business assessment. They're going still on that $650,000, where it should be really on the $467,000. And I guess 2019. I was paying, the rent value was $21,960, and now they've assessed it at $38,640, you know, getting close to being double. And meanwhile, they've dropped the assessment, but, you know, the business tax is going up considerably. And I do have, when I, you know, this maybe, I guess, I couldn't go around and talk to my neighbors and stuff, but like when they assessed me at 649,000, like one of my neighbors, he's got more land. I got parking for 3 cars, but one neighbor's got parking for about 12, and he was assessed at 470. And I don't know what his business tax is. He's got a bigger building than mine and everything. And then my other neighbor, who's got parking for about 25 cars, he was at 496,000. And again, I didn't have time to go ask him how much his business tax was. It's just that going by the figures the city provided, or what I paid last year, and then going just 1 year, I think it's a big jump from 21,960 to this year's 38,640. And then even like my neighbor, they assessed the apartment buildings, 2-floor apartment building at 308,000. And they kind of embarrassed me. They redid the whole building. They spent about 175,000 on it. And so I ended up painting my building because just to keep up with it a bit. So I painted my building just to do my part in the neighborhood. But anyways, I guess all you're worried about is the assessment. The city did drop my tax assessment, like I said, and then, but they still raised it, almost doubled my business tax assessment. So, and I guess that's about all I got to say. Like I say, I'm not a lawyer. I don't rent property or anything. You know, I'm a retail person for 50 years. So, that's basically all I got to say. Or if there's something else you want to hear, I don't know.
Thank you. Mr. Dolinsky, any questions?
I do not have anything.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
I have a question. The assessor has used $10.35 as a base rent. Do you believe that that's a reasonable amount for your property?
Like I said, you know, I don't really know, because I didn't go around seeing what the other values were. I guess that's what this sheet was handed to me today. You know, it showed some other places in Winnipeg with rental value. I own my own building for business use, and I don't, to be honest with you, this is the honest truth, I don't know what fair rental value is, because I just do it all on my own, and I've owned all my own businesses except one 50 years ago I rented for a year off of the guy that owns the Jets, the father. But that was 50 years ago. So I don't know rent value.
Okay.
And the other one on on Portage Avenue, I own that one too. So I haven't paid rent for 48 years, 49 years.
Okay. Thank you. Perhaps I'll just ask Mr. Dolinsky a question. We've heard that the realty was adjusted.
Yeah.
Was the business adjusted in accordance with that realty adjustment?
No, and I'll tell you why. So, what happened with the realty is the cap rate was changed from 7.8% to 9.2%, and the mezz space rent was changed from $640 to $350. So those were the reasons for the realty changes. The premise in question stayed at 1035 throughout for realty as well. So what we did was we changed the cap and we changed the mezz space. For this particular premise, for this BA appeal, we're only looking at the one premise. So they actually occupy 9,060 square feet. We're only assessing for business assessment purposes 3,020 square feet. there was a big deduction in realty based on the condition of the building. Unfortunately, I didn't make any changes to this office space. I just made changes to the other spaces and the
Okay.
cap, or sorry, the one other space in the cap. So I'll leave it up to the board what they feel is fair. I can't do anything for this particular case. But I do know that the building is not in the best shape.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dolinsky. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeske. Appreciate you coming in.
Yes, and one more thing, I had a fire in '95, just to let you know, because the picture, we don't use I didn't have enough money for insurance to finish the second floor, and I still haven't finished the second floor. Just to, when we were talking about usable space, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Why don't we just take a few-minute break?
I could have run a jacket. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. We'll now go to number 10 Scurfield, but first we'll swear you in, or affirm.
Please state your full name.
There's a new bell.
Do you affirm the evidence about presenting the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll take it. I'll have to all of them.
Sure. That's first.
First one. Scorpio, and then Oaks, and then Wilson.
Scurfield's back to that. Scurfield, folks.
Oh, it's two.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And then that was-
Thank you. Two minutes, okay.
Sorry, that was a little.
That's okay?
Oh, yeah, I give you for all three properties.
Oh, all three, okay. Go with Mr. Dolinsky whenever you're ready.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Madam Chair. File number 19-5896, roll years 2020, address is 20 Scurfield Boulevard. The business assessment ID is 1232. The business here, Shaw Cable Systems, BP. We have a total annual rental value of $1,327,080. Total area of all three premises is 94,756 square feet. So these three premises are the whole building. As we can see here on the first page, it's broken into three different spaces. First one's 65,256 square feet. Second one's 24,000, and third one's 5,500. They have different rates as shown. The first one's at $12.61, second's at $8.35, and the last one's at $14.51. This comes to our total annual rental value after the occupancy costs listed in the second column from the right, to this number of $1,327,080. My recommendation is to reduce this annual rental value to $1,246,860, and this is based on the realty decision that just happened for this property. The square foot rate went from a blended rate from $11.64 to $10.79. The breakdown is, so this, we have it as split into two, 24,000 square feet at $5, and then 70,756 at $12.76. So this was what was done by Jonathan Spacek at the Board of Revision, and my recommendation is to follow this, these same square foot rates. Turning to page 2 are OFS comparables. Same comparables used in previous briefs. I won't go too much into detail. As we can see on the bottom right portion of page 2, that the average for these OFS properties is $14.06. Page 3 has the tenant verification form of all 3 PIDs. Owner occupied, so not too much detail there. And then the bottom of page 3 has an exterior view of this Shaw building found at 20 Scurfields. And that is my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Newfeld, there's a recommendation put forward. Do you accept that recommendation?
Yes, actually. I was actually $20 lower, but I think that's okay.
It's not actually.
But
you're good with it.
We are, yeah. That's actually probably just rounding, so if anything, his number makes more sense.
Okay. Do members of the panel have any questions?
I have
Thank you.
Do you mind if I ask just one question quickly?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. These comparables, these were the ones that were with the realty brief?
I am not sure which comparables you used. These were, I put this, I used.
Oh, you put it in, okay, so
Yeah.
I was just wondering what you think would be the closest comp. I'm genuinely interested in that. Because this obviously you got everything is all over the place. It's the size of the
Yeah.
areas, and this is a difficult property, so that makes sense. I'm just curious as to your opinion.
To be honest, I haven't looked specifically. I was more looking at the average.
Okay.
If I were to look more in depth,
That I won't. That's fine. We can figure that out another time. Thank you.
sounds good.
Okay. Next on the docket is 14 Fultz Boulevard. Mr. Delansky, when you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So, file number 19-5890, roll year 2020, the address is 14 Fultz Boulevard. The owner of this business premise is Shaw Cable Systems Limited. We have a total ARV of 1,060,200. Total area of this premise is 79,092 square feet. Premise ID for this particular business assessment is 24048. As said, the area is 79,092. The base ARV for this premise is $11.16. The occupancy costs come in at $177,560, and then our annual rental value is, as mentioned, $1,060,200. There are 3 pits at this property. So Shaw Cable Systems Limited occupies one of the 3. The total area of the building is 104,692 square feet. Turning to page 2, same OFS comparables as used in our previous brief. As we can see here, the average is $14.06. Our net base ARV for this particular premise is at $11.16. So I feel we fall well within the range here. There's obviously a lot of different comparables scattered throughout the city. I don't have a perfect comparable. I just want us to focus on what typical OFS rents are and what the average is. The income and expense sent in for this reference period did not list Shaw on it, so I left it off. My last page here is just an overhead view of the building, and that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayfeld, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. You said the income expense didn't mention Shaw, as in not specifically.
Yeah, I didn't see this.
Could it have mentioned Canadian Pacific Railway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that which space?
Yeah, that is their space.
Okay.
I don't know why it's under Canadian Pacific Railway, but it's definitely their space. I'll get into it. But the 1049 net. How was that calculated?
The 1116.
No, sorry. In here you have the subject lease information.
Oh, okay.
Reported area 92,692, and reported rent per square foot and rent type is net, so 1049. Was that were those your calculations? Was that in the system already, or?
I believe that was reported. I didn't get a chance to look through it fully. Was that what was sent to me?
The 1049?
Your brother?
By me? No. I've never seen this 1049.
Okay. That was computer generated, so I didn't personally put that in.
Okay.
But typically what is done when a lease comes in, it'll be put into our system, and when we build our brief, it'll just pop up. I didn't investigate any further.
So it was likely an automated number?
No, it would have been looked at and then put in by a different member of our office.
Okay. Your comparables are none of these of them are really anywhere near the size, are they?
No, they're quite a bit smaller.
So would it be fair to say that a much larger property would likely command a smaller net rent per square foot than the comparables that you're suggesting?
Typically, economies of scale will play a role, yes.
Did you review what happened in the 2018 hearing at all?
No, I did not.
And the AC area, do you know how that was chosen or where that comes from?
Yeah, so our rate would be an average of...
Sorry, not the rate, the actual physical area. You've got 31,400 just air conditioned.
Right.
I'll explain it later, but I'm just wondering if you have any knowledge of where that came from.
I do not.
No. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Ketch?
I have no questions.
And I have no questions. Mr. Mayfeld, when you're ready.
Thank you. So last year, in 2018, when this was brought in, there was actually the AC area was still 31,400. We went through it. I actually remember when we were still able to look at our phones. I was looking on the website, and you could see AC units everywhere. Looking at Google Maps, you could see AC units everywhere. So the area of this air-conditioned area is the entire thing. So that is actually under-assessed in that respect. And we did go through this carefully 2 years ago, so I felt as though I should bring it back up. So my brief that you see today is virtually the exact same as it was in 2018, with the expense adjustments increased, and that we generally don't challenge the city's heat, electricity, water, and AC numbers. We can, depending on, like the rate per square foot I mentioned, we'll definitely challenge the areas if we find them wrong, but they do have some extensive data on that, and there's generally that's a fair way to do it. So the only difference that from 2018 and 2020 would be that those expenses did increase. The number that was applied was $9. If you go to my page 2, this is the actual lease between Canadian Pacific Railway and the sublease between Shaw. So Shaw occupies the 79,092 square feet that is leased to the Canadian Pacific Railway and then released it to Shaw. The gross amount into the section 3.1 fixed rent is $17. And if you, I won't completely go through it, but you'll see that on additional rent, except where otherwise, I guess I will go through it, except where otherwise stated in the sublease, fixed rent includes the following: management fees, property taxes, water, electricity, heating, cooling, and any of the common area costs. In my page 5, this property for the realty side is handled by Altus. Page 5 was from their brief in 2018. Now, they have Canadian Pacific Railway as their 9 as their estimate based on how they calculate it. And then that is also, the 17 is a gross number. So if you see my page 5, this is basically a reverse calculation of the 2018 assessment. Now, the 2020 assessment, from my understanding, was derived differently, but the rent never actually changed in that time for the Shaw tenancy. Their lease goes from, hopefully I have the dates in there. It doesn't have, yeah, okay, so then their lease is active until 2022. So the lease is not changed, and the reference date would have been 2016 after the increase was gone up, or after the step up, so the rent didn't change whatsoever. Now, on my page 1, we started with the gross rent of $17, deducted management of 5%, the operating costs as identical to the cities above. Taxes are our actual estimate, or not actual calculation of the 2018 realty taxes, and then the CAM is just an estimate. Basically, you generally will see CAMs in buildings like this be $150 to $250. It fell within our range to get the $9 that was already reported by Altus on another hearing, so we felt that the $9 was very fair. The subject is Shaw Cable Systems, I believe. I don't have interior pictures, but they are trades and technology. So this would be a working site for them. The rents I did supply on my page 9, mostly there for support, but are in line with what we're looking at, or what we're requesting for sites like this. But I will request that the panel puts the most weight on the $17 gross rent and our estimates and actual calculations of the operating costs that would be associated with that for a net rent of $9. And our request is $905, $600. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Delinsky, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. So you mentioned that typically our expenses are pretty close.
Yeah, I've as long as I've been working doing this, I've never seen us challenge the heat per square foot, electricity per square foot, water per square foot, AC. We generally only, if there's an area that has more water or AC, we'll request different areas. But I think the operating costs are generally, you would have more data than anyone will, so that makes a bit of sense. And it's kind of hard to interpret that wrong, as it's really just costs.
Right. So from your experience, you found that usually we're pretty low on our occupancy costs?
No, I didn't. I just said that it's an accurate representation of the operating costs. That's why we use the exact numbers.
That's fair. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Peich, do you have any
I have
questions?
none, thanks.
And I have none.
And I have no questions.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, 1565 Wilson Place. When you're ready, Mr. Delinsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 19-4 5850. Roll year 2020, address is 1565 Wilson Place. The business assessment ID is 38245. The owner of this PID is Payworks Incorporated. Total annual rental value is $833,940. Total area of 2 premises, which is the full building, is 48,795 square feet. So these 2 PIDs in question, the first one is 1871. We have it split. This first PID is 32,530 square feet. The base ARV per square foot is $1,583. After occupancy costs, the annual rental value for this PID is $594,660. And the second PID is 274423. The area for this one is 16,265. The base ARV is $12.26, and the total occupancy costs come to $39,849. And then this gets us to our total rental value of $833,940. It's owner occupied, as mentioned, and our recommendation is to confirm this ARV of $833,940. Turning over to page 2, please. Same comparables. This is another OFS property. As we can see, the average is $14.06. Very close to what we have it assessed at. Page 3, owner occupied, not much information on the tenant verification form. And then the bottom of page 3 is an exterior view of the building. And that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nicol?
Yes, just thank you. The same question on the rents. I think I'm just trying to find your biggest one here. Looks like 6,500 at 1427. You would agree that your rents are considerably smaller than the subject property?
Yes, I agree. For this purpose, I'm asking the board to look at the total area and what the average is of all the comparables.
So the total area being 40, like you mean the total area of the subject?
Of my comparables, 141,551.
Okay, but the biggest one you have here, 6,500, where our subject is 48,000. So I guess the same question, would you agree that some adjustments for economies of scale could be relevant here?
I agree.
Okay, and you have 2 premise IDs here. Sorry if you mentioned this, but I didn't hear it. The larger one there, 274423, is that above grade?
I believe so. But I don't know.
Okay.
As per my picture, it looks like we're dealing with the first and second floor.
Do you have the plan area of the building?
I don't.
If hypothetically it was determined that one of the premise areas was below grade, would... No, that's not a fair question. Those are my questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no question.
Mr. Page? I have questions. Mr. Nicol?
Thank you. Just while we're on the topic, I will take you to my page 13 and 14. This is a split level, what would you call it? It is below grade. However, when you walk in, you basically walk up to the first floor and down to the basement. So it is a split level basement. Obviously, our opinion would be that as a basement property, the potential to lease it would be much harder than it would be for above grade. our rents that we've applied on our first page is $12.50 on the main and the second. There could be some argument to be made between it to say maybe perhaps the main would be 14, second would be 10. Instead, we just use the same on both, as it was one owner who is looking at their total value. However, the basement would not add the same value that a main floor office space would in any way. A basement generally is utility to most buildings. They have, however, set up offices down there. So to say that it was a $4 basement would be wrong, as it does still have better office finishes than most basements would. However, it is still obviously below grade and would be much harder to attract tenants on the rental market. So for that reason, we applied an $8 on the basement. Taking to my page 3. These are the rent comparables that were applied for the subject property. We have, I think one of the best comparables would be 1080 Waverly, as very close in location. Wilson is basically on Waverly. Wilson would be the side street. I didn't bring aerial photos, but when you're looking at the front corner of the building, you would be standing on Waverly. 1080 Waverly is 1090 Waverly is a retail operation, and then 1080 is a 2-story office. Or maybe I have that back. No, sorry, 1080 is the 2-story. So 1185 and an office down the street we felt was very fair. However, there's a good comparable. I'm talking in circles here. 6th and 7th on the list, or 6th on the list there. There was renovations to this property. Most property in recent times, most of it was code upgrades, as well as an extensive fiber optics network that was put in. Payworks is essentially I think we all know who Payworks are. They do most of the payrolls for larger companies in the city. Their fiber optic needs were extensive when they moved into this site, and they did a lot of work, but it was mostly only to accommodate their specific business and not add any rental value whatsoever. Based on my comparables, I would suggest the $12.50 is very fair, and the $8 office rent is hard to find basement offices. So I would just suggest that a discount should be applicable for the basement. A discount. And we are asking for $657,710. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Jelinski, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Neufeld, do you know when this building was built?
I have here 1977.
1977. And you talked about upgrades. When did these upgrades occur?
When they purchased it, I don't have my realty file with me. It would have been after the purchase.
Okay, thank you. So, the basement in question, is it page 15 in your brief?
14 and, well, the office, I believe the 15 was since renovated, so the 14 would be a better way to look at how it is an office down that basement floor.
Okay, so page 14 is the start of the basement picture?
Yes.
Okay, so like you said, it's a split level, almost like a bi-level house where the windows are still pretty big.
You still have windows for a basement, yeah.
Okay.
So it's better than most basements, but it is still below grade.
And then this picture on the bottom of page 16 this is obviously the middle of the renovations?
I imagine some of this, like this would just be a portion of the basement. It is 16,000 square feet. I think that my last picture should just be disregarded, but the 15, on page 15, that bottom one was in the midst of it, but there was still exposed ceiling in the basement.
Okay.
When I last saw it.
Okay, thank you. Just one last question. Would you agree that this basement area is quite a bit better than most basements found in OFS properties.
Most OFS properties do only use basement for accessory use. This is used as an office, so yes.
Okay, thank you.
But however, it is still a basement, and treating it as a main floor would be incorrect.
Thank you, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
Just one, which may lead into another one. When were these pictures taken?
Probably 2016. They're not super recent.
Did you inspect the building?
I would, yes.
Is the finishing the same in the basement as it's on the main floor and second floor?
Not when I was there last, no. They were growing, so I mean, it's, as far as I know, this is how it is. And I have talked to agents in our office who mentioned they put in a gym down there since. I don't know if maybe that was what's going on in this page 15, the kind of rough area.
With
It was
the
likely putting
unfinished
in. So yeah, that actually would make perfect sense.
Okay, that's my only question.
Mr. Page?
Is there any accessible space below what we're characterizing as the basement here?
No. No.
So, is there sort of a separate mechanical area, and would that be in the lower level?
It would be in the basement. We did not deduct for it as when you have when you're an owner occupant and you're using the entire space, generally you don't take out the mechanical area. But yes, I imagine that's because we have the plan area here in main and second, and the basement is the same area. So yes, mechanical would have to be in there.
Okay. No other questions, thank you.
Okay. And I have no questions. Thank you. Concludes 1565 Wilson Place.
Thank you.
Just, I'd like to make one comment though about one of your submissions. They include the 2018 assessment. I'd ask that for future, that be excluded from.
Will continue to provide them. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I even put the weight on it. You see fit, but I think the Colliers is going to.
We will be putting no weight on it.
Yes,
Just
I understand that. I
that.
understand that. I do.
Okay. We've received
I know.
our own
I know.
instruction, and so is the assessor, and,
Yes.
okay, thank you. We all understand where we're at on that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna look back to, I think, number 4, 138 Crevalle. Whenever you're ready.
Madam Chair, file number 19-5107, roll year 2020, the address is 138 Crevalle Boulevard. Business name is Catou's Jewelry. We have a premise ID here of 4063, premise area 403 square feet, annual rental value of $7,920. Recommendation for this is, because of the 14.2 that was sent out, this appeal no longer stands. I have evidence to hand out. So, long story short, there was a square footage change, and then a 14.2 was sent out. So, from what I was told when this happens, this old appeal no longer exists. They should have appealed this new number of 7,920.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what direction we want to go here, because whatever's decided won't stand, as far as I've been told.
Okay, so we will just leave it at that, and we'll get advice on that one, on how to manage that one.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and our final one is number 8 on our list, 309 Newville. When you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 19-5083, full year 2020. The address is 309 Uville Street. Business assessment ID is 37028. The owner of this business is Matrix Group Publishing Incorporated. I have a total annual rental value of $75,420. Total area of premises, of all premises, which is the whole building, is 3,837 square feet. The PID is 32548, which holds all the square footage within the building. The base ARV is 65,996. Total occupancy cost 9,401. This gets us to the total annual rental value of 75,420. Recommendation is to withhold this value. Turn to page 2, please. I have 5 comparables near the subject, all OFS properties, which the subject is as well. First 4 are on Provencher. First one's at 131 Provencher, 2,000 square feet at $18. Second one's at 147 Provencher, 877 square feet at $17.15. Third one's at 131 Provencher, 2,074 square feet at $17. Fourth comparable's at 147 Provencher, 878 square feet at $17. And the last comparable's at 20 St. Mary's Road, 2,438 square feet at $16. And on page 3 is an exterior view of where the premise is located. You can see it's at the corner of Uville Street and Marion. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the panel have any questions?
I have one. I note that the comparables you've provided average to $17 a square. Subject property you have at $19.66.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what I'm referring to with the comparables is that comparing it to the base ARV. So
I apologize. Yes, okay. Thank you. The question's been answered.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I have no questions. So that concludes our hearing today. Thank you.
Thanks.